Long before the modern media fascination with Bigfoot, Native American tribes across North America had their own distinct stories and beliefs about this mysterious, human-like creature. These stories varied from tribe to tribe, but they all shared the notion of a large, hairy bipedal being that lived in the wilderness, often just beyond human settlements. For many tribes, Bigfoot was not simply a physical being, but a spiritual presence tied to the land, the forests, and the balance of nature itself. In the Pacific Northwest, where the term Sasquatch originates, the indigenous Halkomelem-speaking peoples referred to the creature as sésq'ets. For them, Sasquatch was not merely a wild animal, but a powerful figure that had spiritual significance. It was said to live deep in the forests and mountains, guarding sacred places. The creature was believed to possess special powers, such as the ability to disappear at will or even transform into different animals or spirits. The Lummi people, another tribe of the Pacific Northwest, have stories of a creature called Ts'emekwes. Described as massive and nocturnal, this being was known for its ability to steal food and fish, especially from fishermen's nets. These tales often cast Ts'emekwes as more of a mischievous figure than a dangerous one, with the creature making off with supplies, but rarely showing hostility toward humans. Moving south to California, the sésq'ets people have a more direct association with Bigfoot. Their rock carvings, dating back hundreds of years, depict large humanoid figures similar to the modern description of Bigfoot. The sésq'ets believe these beings, called hairy men, were a peaceful race that once lived in harmony with humans. According to their legends, these creatures were part of the natural order, blending into the forests and using their massive size and strength to protect themselves and the land from harm. The carvings, found in places like Painted Rock, show these creatures alongside other animals, suggesting that the sésq'ets saw them as a natural, albeit mysterious, part of the environment. In the Rocky Mountains, the Salish people have stories of sésq'ets, a large wild man who roamed the forests and mountains, moving silently and staying out of sight. Sésq'ets was considered a benevolent creature, but was also seen as dangerous if disrespected. People believed it could move invisibly through the forests, and that its presence was a reminder of the wild, untamed spirit of the natural world. Hunters, in particular, were mindful of sésq'ets, seeing its presence as a sign that the hunt was either blessed or doomed, depending on how they treated the land. Further east, the Cherokee also have a version of Bigfoot in their legends. They speak of a large, hairy being that dwelled in the forests of the Appalachian Mountains, often avoiding humans, but occasionally coming into conflict with them when its territory was disturbed. Unlike some of the Western tribes, the Cherokee's Bigfoot was seen as a more physical and less spiritual being, representing the dangers of the wilderness that early settlers had to contend with. There are many more regional differences, but you get the point. These Native American legends set the foundation for the modern Bigfoot story, with many of the themes, such as the creature's elusiveness, its massive size, and its mysterious presence, echoing in later sightings and encounters. However, in Native American culture, Bigfoot is more than just a cryptid or an animal to be discovered. It is a symbol of the wild world, representing the unknown forces of nature that humans must learn to respect. As the 20th century dawned, the Bigfoot legend began to shift from its indigenous roots into the wider public consciousness. The creature that had long been part of Native American tradition started to gain recognition across the broader American public, particularly after a series of notable sightings and encounters. These encounters, often reported by hunters, outdoorsmen, and loggers working in the remote forests of the Pacific Northwest, helped shape the image of Bigfoot that remains popular today. One of the pivotal moments in this transformation occurred in 1958, when construction worker Jerry Crew discovered enormous footprints near Bluff Creek, California. Measuring an astounding 16 inches long, these footprints sparked widespread curiosity and media attention. Crew made plaster casts of the tracks and shared them with local newspapers, introducing the term Bigfoot into popular culture. Though it was later suggested that these footprints might have been a hoax by a fellow construction worker, the Bluff Creek footprints played a major role in igniting the Bigfoot phenomenon. From this point on, the mysterious creature of Native American legend began to evolve into a more widely recognized cultural icon. Bigfoot sightings soon became more frequent, with reports emerging from across the Pacific Northwest and beyond. Witnesses often described a creature ranging from 7 to 10 feet tall, walking upright on 2 legs, and covered in dark, matted hair. Despite its immense size and power, the creature was typically portrayed as shy and elusive, rarely showing aggression toward humans unless provoked. Eyewitness accounts often spoke of the creature's piercing eyes, muscular build, and the overwhelming stench that accompanied it. This foul odor became one of the defining characteristics of Bigfoot, leading many witnesses to describe their encounters as deeply unsettling, not just because of the sight of the creature, but because of the visceral sense of unease its presence brought. Another common element of these modern Bigfoot folktales was the strange vocalizations that witnesses reported hearing in areas associated with Bigfoot activity. People would describe hearing deep howls, whoops, or eerie screams in the distance, often in the dead of night. Others reported hearing the sound of wood knocking, a phenomenon where the creature would allegedly knock on trees with sticks as a form of communication. These auditory clues contributed to the growing mythology around Bigfoot, adding another layer of mystery to an already elusive creature. Beyond the Pacific Northwest, another notable regional variation of Bigfoot emerged in the southeastern United States, the skunk ape. Most commonly reported in the Florida Everglades, the skunk ape shares many similarities with its western cousin, though with a few key differences. Described as slightly smaller than the typical Bigfoot, the skunk ape is usually reported to stand between 5 and 7 feet tall. It has a stockier, more ape-like appearance, with long arms and a dense covering of dark hair. One of the defining characteristics of the skunk ape, as its name suggests, is its overpowering smell. Witnesses consistently describe the creature's odor as unbearable, often comparing it to the stench of rotting garbage or a skunk. The skunk ape is also said to be more aggressive than the Pacific Northwest Bigfoot, with several accounts of the creature approaching human settlements and causing disturbances. For example, there have been reports of the skunk ape raiding farms, tearing through crops, and even chasing after livestock. This aggression may be attributed to the fact that many skunk ape sightings occur in areas where human development has encroached on the creature's natural habitat, forcing it into closer contact with people. Despite these differences, the skunk ape and Bigfoot share many core traits, including their bipedal movement, elusive behavior, and the ability to vanish into dense wilderness without a trace. The skunk ape has become a fixture of local folklore in Florida, with frequent sightings reported in the Everglades and other swampy regions. Like Bigfoot, the skunk ape has inspired a community of believers, researchers, and enthusiasts, all eager to prove the existence of this elusive creature. While the stories of Bigfoot found in Native American legends and modern folktales laid the groundwork for the creature's cultural identity, it is the reported real-life encounters that have truly fueled the legend in the modern era. From fleeting glimpses of a massive, hairy figure in the wilderness to strange, oversized footprints found in remote areas, these encounters have captivated the public's imagination and kept the mystery alive. Though many encounters have been reported over the decades, several stand out as particularly significant in shaping the Bigfoot phenomenon. One of the most well-known and hotly debated Bigfoot encounters is the Patterson-Gimlin film, shot on October 20th, 1967, near Bluff Creek, California. Roger Patterson, a Bigfoot enthusiast, and Bob Gimlin, his companion, set out to capture footage of the elusive creature. Armed with a camera, the two were exploring the remote forests of Northern California when, according to their account, they stumbled upon a large, upright, hairy creature walking along the sand in the distance. The creature, now famously referred to as Patty, is seen in the footage taking long, deliberate strides, briefly looking back at the camera before disappearing into the forest. The Patterson-Gimlin film remains the most iconic piece of evidence for the existence of Bigfoot. At just under a minute long, the grainy footage has been analyzed by researchers, skeptics, and enthusiasts alike for over half a century. Supporters of the film argue that the creature's movement, muscle definition, and proportions do not match those of a human in a costume. They point to the figure's long arms, the smoothness of its stride, and the way its muscles appear to shift under its fur as evidence that the creature is not a hoax. Additionally, some researchers claim that the creature's walk is distinctly non-human, with a peculiar swinging motion of the arms and legs that would be difficult for a person to replicate. Supporters also note the size of the creature, estimated to be around 7 feet tall, arguing that creating such a realistic costume would have been beyond the capabilities of amateur filmmakers in 1967. They also point out that Patterson and Gimlin, despite being approached numerous times with offers to confess to a hoax, consistently stood by their story until their deaths. However, the Patterson-Gimlin film is not without its critics. Skeptics argue that the creature in the footage is likely a person in a costume. They point to Patterson's prior interest in Bigfoot and his efforts to secure funding for a documentary on the subject, suggesting that he may have staged the encounter to gain fame and financial reward. Additionally, some experts in costume design have claimed that it would have been possible to create a suit like the one seen in the film, though others dispute this, saying that the technology of the time would not have allowed for such a convincing fabrication. In fact, numerous people over the years have claimed to be the person in the suit, but still no concrete proof has ever been provided. The quality of the footage has also been a point of contention. Though clearer than many subsequent Bigfoot videos, the film is still grainy, leaving enough room for ambiguity. Because the figure is not seen close up and the footage is brief, skeptics argue that there is no definitive way to prove whether the creature is real or simply a person in disguise. Despite these debates, the Patterson-Gimlin film has become the central piece of evidence in Bigfoot lore, with both believers and skeptics unable to conclusively prove or disprove its authenticity. Another famous real-life encounter is the Ape Canyon incident, which took place in 1924 near Mount St. Helens in Washington state. A group of 5 miners claimed that they were attacked by a group of ape men after one of the miners shot at one of the creatures. According to their account, the miners had spotted large, hairy figures watching them from a distance during the day. Later that night, as they were asleep in their cabin, they were awakened by the sound of large rocks being thrown at the cabin, followed by the sounds of heavy footsteps and loud banging on the walls. The miners described the creatures as massive, bipedal, and covered in dark hair. They claimed that the creatures attempted to break into the cabin, pounding on the door and windows, but were ultimately unsuccessful. The attack lasted several hours, with the creatures eventually retreating at dawn. The next morning, the miners found large footprints around the cabin, but there was no sign of the creatures. This encounter, often referred to as one of the earliest recorded Bigfoot attacks, sparked local interest and remains a significant event in Bigfoot history. Critics of the Ape Canyon incident argue that the miners may have been mistaken about what they encountered. Some suggest that the ape men were actually bears or other large animals that the miners, in their fear and isolation, misinterpreted as something more sinister. Others believe that the entire story may have been exaggerated or fabricated as a way for the miners to explain the damage done to their cabin by a landslide or falling rocks. Despite these alternative explanations, the miners maintained their story for the rest of their lives, and the event remains one of the most dramatic Bigfoot encounters on record. Another notable Bigfoot encounter is the Albert Ostman kidnapping incident, which allegedly took place in 1924 in British Columbia, though Ostman did not reveal his story until much later, in 1957. Ostman, a Canadian prospector, claimed that while camping in the wilderness, he was kidnapped by a family of Bigfoot and held captive for 6 days. According to Ostman, he was asleep in his sleeping bag when he was suddenly picked up and carried away by one of the creatures. When he awoke, he found himself in a remote area surrounded by a family of 4 Bigfoot, a large male, a female, and 2 younger creatures. Ostman described the creatures as massive, with the adult male standing over 8 feet tall and the female slightly shorter. He claimed that the creatures did not harm him, but kept a close watch on him, preventing him from escaping. Ostman eventually managed to escape by tricking the creatures with his chewing tobacco, which they found curious but distasteful. He never returned to the area, but his detailed description of the creatures and their behavior has intrigued cryptozoologists for decades. Skeptics of the Ostman kidnapping argue that the story is likely a fabrication, given the extraordinary nature of the claim and the lack of physical evidence. Ostman's decision to wait over 30 years before telling his story also raises doubts about its credibility. However, believers point to the level of detail in Ostman's account, as well as his consistent retelling of the story, as evidence that he may have truly encountered something unknown. Another significant piece of Bigfoot evidence is the Freeman footage, filmed in 1994 by Paul Freeman, a seasoned Bigfoot tracker. Freeman had spent years searching for the creature in the Blue Mountains of Washington state and had reportedly found several large footprints before capturing the footage. The video shows what appears to be a large bipedal creature walking through the forest. While the Freeman footage is less well known than the Patterson-Gimlin film, it has gained attention within the Bigfoot community. Supporters argue that the behavior of the creature in the footage suggests that it is not human. However, critics point to the poor quality of the footage and the possibility that it could have been staged, as Freeman had a history of hoaxes related to Bigfoot before this sighting. Nevertheless, the Freeman footage remains one of the more credible videos in the Bigfoot field, with some researchers considering it a potential breakthrough in the search for the creature. While none of these stories have been conclusively proven, they provide tantalizing hints of what could be lurking in the vast wilderness of North America. Hey everyone, just a quick intermission here. I wanted to say thank you for watching this video. It really means a lot to me. Did you know that over 80% of you who are watching right now aren't subscribed to the channel? If you've enjoyed this content so far, it would be incredible if you could hit that subscribe button. It's a small gesture, but it really helps the channel grow and ensures that you won't miss any more of our fascinating stories we explore together. Also, if you're feeling generous, please give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment, and share with anyone else who may enjoy it. Your support really does make a difference and keeps the content coming. Thanks again, and let's get back to the story. As Bigfoot sightings continued to accumulate and the legend grew in modern times, the creature took on a life of its own, becoming more than just a subject of speculation among cryptozoologists. Bigfoot entered popular culture as a symbol of mystery, adventure, and the unknown, capturing the imagination of millions. From television shows and movies to festivals and merchandise, Bigfoot's impact on culture has been widespread and enduring. The 1960s and 70s saw a growing fascination with cryptozoology, fueled by high-profile sightings, including the infamous Patterson-Gimlin film. During this period, Bigfoot began to appear in television specials, documentaries, and books. These documentaries often framed Bigfoot as a tantalizing mystery, blending scientific inquiry with the thrill of exploration, which appealed to a public fascinated by the unknown. One of the most influential Bigfoot-related shows was The Legend of Boggy Creek, 1972, a docudrama about a creature similar to Bigfoot, known as the Fook Monster, in rural Arkansas. The film was a commercial success and helped to solidify Bigfoot's place in American folklore. Following its success, Bigfoot-themed movies and television programs became increasingly common. Films like Sasquatch, The Legend of Bigfoot, 1976, and Harry and the Hendersons, 1987, added both mystery and humor to the Bigfoot mythos, ensuring the creatures appealed to a wide range of audiences. Bigfoot also began to appear in more light-hearted contexts, becoming a character in children's shows and cartoons. The friendly depiction of Bigfoot in Harry and the Hendersons, for example, portrayed the creature as misunderstood and gentle, far from the menacing figure described in some earlier sightings. This portrayal of Bigfoot as a benign, if elusive, creature helped to broaden its appeal and cemented its status as a pop culture icon. As Bigfoot's cultural profile grew, so too did public interest in the creature, leading to a proliferation of festivals, expeditions, and tourism centered around the legend. Communities located near Bigfoot hotspots, such as Willow Creek, California, or Skamania County, Washington, began to capitalize on the legend, organizing annual Bigfoot festivals that attracted visitors from around the world. These festivals featured guest speakers, including cryptozoologists and researchers, as well as vendors selling Bigfoot-themed merchandise, crafts, and food. The Willow Creek Bigfoot Festival, for example, draws thousands of visitors each year to the small Northern California town near where the famous Patterson-Gimlin film was shot. The festival includes guided tours of areas where Bigfoot sightings have been reported, alongside talks from Bigfoot researchers and outdoor enthusiasts. Similarly, Skamania County, Washington, declared Bigfoot their official county mascot in the 1980s and hosts a Bigfoot festival each year, where people come to celebrate the legend through music, food, and stories of sightings. Bigfoot-themed tourism has become a lucrative industry, with enthusiasts traveling to regions known for sightings in the hope of encountering the creature themselves. For instance, the Olympic Peninsula in Washington, a region that has been home to many Bigfoot reports, has become a prime destination for Sasquatch hunters and eco-tourism companies offering expeditions into the forest. These excursions, often led by experienced guides, take visitors into remote areas where Bigfoot is said to roam, providing an immersive wilderness experience that taps into the sense of adventure and mystery surrounding the legend. With the advent of the internet, the Bigfoot legend gained new momentum. Online forums, YouTube channels, and social media platforms dedicated to Bigfoot research have brought together a global community of believers and skeptics alike. Websites like Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization, BFRO, allow people to share sightings, analyze evidence, and discuss theories about the creature's existence. The rise of streaming services has also led to an explosion of documentaries, reality shows, and podcasts centered on Bigfoot, with each new program contributing to the ongoing debate over the creature's reality. In the internet age, Bigfoot has become an even more pervasive cultural figure, with the legend evolving as new stories, videos, and alleged evidence are shared instantaneously across the globe. This has led to an increase in both skepticism and belief, as the accessibility of information allows for greater scrutiny and more in-depth analysis of sightings and evidence. The story of Bigfoot weaves together elements of ancient Native American legends, modern-day encounters, and the endless curiosity of the human spirit. Throughout the centuries, Bigfoot has maintained a position in the shadowy corners of our imagination, representing both the allure and fear of the unknown. As we draw this story to a close, we must consider the central question that has lingered through each chapter. Is Bigfoot a real undiscovered species, or merely a product of myth, hoaxes, and human fascination with the unknown? One of the strongest arguments in favor of Bigfoot's existence comes from the sheer volume of sightings and encounters reported over the years. Eyewitnesses from across North America and even other parts of the world consistently describe a large, bipedal hairy creature that shares key characteristics: immense size, upright movement, and elusiveness. The consistency in these descriptions, regardless of the time period or geographical location, lends credibility to the idea that Bigfoot could be a real creature. Many believers also point to physical evidence, such as footprints, audio recordings of howls, and even hair samples, as proof that something is out there. In some cases, footprints have been analyzed by experts who claim that the anatomy of the prints, such as the shape of the arch and the spacing of the toes, suggests that they are not from any known animal. Similarly, audio recordings of eerie, unexplained howls in the wilderness have been linked to Bigfoot, with some researchers arguing that the sounds are outside the range of known animal vocalizations. Yet, despite the volume of evidence, none of it has definitively proven Bigfoot's existence. Hair samples sent for DNA testing have repeatedly been identified, as belonging to known species like bears, deer, or domestic animals. Plaster casts of footprints have been found to be inconsistent in size, shape, and quality, with many being dismissed as hoaxes. The lack of a body or bones remains the most significant obstacle for believers, as every other species on Earth leaves behind remains that can be studied. Without a physical specimen, many scientists remain unconvinced of Bigfoot's existence. From a scientific perspective, the case against Bigfoot is grounded in the lack of physical evidence and the potential for misidentification or fabrication. Human error is often cited as a leading cause of Bigfoot sightings, with many encounters likely being misinterpreted observations of known animals, such as bears walking on their hind legs. In areas like the Pacific Northwest, where the wilderness is dense and remote, such misidentifications are plausible. Skeptics argue that in most cases, these sightings are the result of people's expectations, fueled by the legend itself, leading them to see what they want to believe. Moreover, the history of hoaxes associated with Bigfoot has cast doubt on many claims. The 2008 Georgia Bigfoot hoax, for example, where two men claimed to have found the body of a Bigfoot only for it to be revealed as a rubber suit, tarnished the credibility of other serious Bigfoot research. The presence of such hoaxes has made it more difficult for genuine claims to be taken seriously, as the burden of proof becomes ever higher. Critics also argue that the idea of a large, intelligent creature like Bigfoot living undetected for centuries is improbable. For a population of creatures to survive, they would need to reproduce, which would require a significant breeding population. If such a population existed, evidence of their presence, such as bones, corpses, or more frequent sightings, should have surfaced by now. Skeptics maintain that the absence of these critical pieces of evidence is a clear indication that Bigfoot is more likely a myth than a biological reality. For believers and cryptozoologists, the lack of conclusive evidence does not signal the end of the search, but rather an ongoing challenge. Cryptozoology, the study of unknown or hidden animals, views Bigfoot as a real creature that has simply not yet been discovered by mainstream science. Proponents argue that many creatures once thought to be mythical, such as the giant squid or the okapi, were eventually proven to exist when their habitats were better understood and expeditions were conducted in remote areas. Bigfoot, they argue, may be another such case, a creature that eludes capture due to the vastness and isolation of its environment. Whether or not Bigfoot is real, the creature has become an indelible part of North American folklore, taking on a life of its own in the public imagination. In many ways, Bigfoot functions as a symbol of both adventure and humility. For those who believe, the creature reminds us that despite our technological advances and scientific knowledge, there are still parts of the natural world we do not fully understand. Even for skeptics, Bigfoot serves as a reminder of the power of myth and the human capacity to create stories that resonate across generations. As we venture further into the 21st century, Bigfoot's place in our collective consciousness shows no sign of fading. The creature continues to appear in popular media, inspire expeditions, and fuel debates about the boundaries of science and myth. Whether Bigfoot is ever proven to exist or remains an enduring mystery, its legacy as a symbol of the unknown will continue to capture the imagination of generations to come.